Cinema Classics is sponsored by the Gateway Film Center and is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to shows online at WCBE.org. I'm Johnny DiLoretto.
I'm John DeSando.
This is Cinema Classics.
It is.
We are officially post-Oscar.
We are.
It happened.
Yeah.
You didn't watch it.
No, and we were going to do Mel first.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't put
Got this
I
in.
did the wrong one up there.
Got you.
No.
Do you want me to do the intro again?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cinema Classics is sponsored by the Gateway Film Center and is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to shows online at WCBE.org. I'm Johnny DiLoretto.
I'm John DeSando.
This is Cinema Classics.
It sure is.
One of the things that we have been encountering of late, is this sort of a fairly consistent reconsideration of problematic individuals still working. You see stuff like, for instance, Woody Allen.
Yeah.
Right? Has been accused of terrible crimes, has been exonerated of them.
But not in the press.
Not in the press, no,
Right.
But I mean,
he was never accused.
Right. And so it makes for, it creates, a hurdle for a lot of people to watch, to watch a Woody Allen movie. I mean, so many even actors and stars have disavowed, working with him. He can only find probably distribution right now, like overseas.
Overseas, yeah.
Anyway, that's just one person. What about somebody like Mel Gibson?
Yeah, well, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, we did a show on, it's movie time, on The Professor and the Madman, starring Mel Gibson.
Yeah, you did. You reviewed that
I
show.
did, right,
Yeah.
thank you. And we had a call from a listener
Yeah.
who was appalled that we had reviewed a movie of Mel Gibson. And that got us to thinking about.
Well, let me ask you something.
Yes.
Did it even, I'm just curious about you. First of all, did that even cross your mind when you were?
Never.
Okay. Are you aware of Mel Gibson's?
I am. I'm aware that he is criticized for what he has done, and we can run through what he has done to make him be called a racist by many people.
Right. And an anti-Semite.
Yes. Yeah. And homophobe.
Yeah.
So he has
a lot of toxicity surrounding.
Yeah, and very rightfully so, deserved it in the sense separate from his movies. And that's, I guess, where we are at this point.
Yeah.
How responsible are we in looking at a film to talk about the politics or the racism or sexism of the producer or director of that film?
Right. Or performer or actor.
Yeah. Right.
So, I think what we're seeing here, and I think it's long overdue actually, is a real reckoning, is a real cultural reckoning with this stuff. It's because white men have traditionally been in power, have turned the other cheek to this kind of stuff. Those days are over. It sort of happened. It began happening with the Me Too movement. And gained momentum with Black Lives Matter and all these, every day there's a shooting in the news. People are now being held accountable for those things. You can see, you can see how they're all really related, right? It all comes back to abuse of power, to the devaluation of other people's lives. And so I can really understand how this stuff foments, and it's time. It is time to say, look, this is no longer acceptable. We're done. Now, in the case of Mel Gibson, it's really interesting because here's a guy who, at the height of his fame, sort of lost it. The other thing we talk a lot about, but really we don't ascribe to situations like this, are the mental health issues in this country.
Sure, and right? He became notorious, infamous, worldwide known, after he was stopped for DUI, and in a rant which he called himself a drunken, almost orgy of bad verbal abuse of Jews, for instance. He said he accused the Jews of being responsible for all the wars in the world.
Right.
And that got public. And what do you know, just after that, he produces Apocalypto, which is even more, is perhaps lauded by more people than anything else he's done, even The Passion of Christ. I mean, here's something, and there's the irony.
Yeah.
Here it is, and you've got a raft of people who say don't even have anything to do with them, such as the Woody Allen you've talked about.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he is still as popular as ever.
So here's where it gets weird. So, there was this brief period where he was just saying all kinds of insane things.
Yes.
Right. We look at them as maybe insane. He was drunk. Whatever. It looks to me like the guy had some mental health issues.
Yeah.
And alcoholism. He said a number of other things. He had the recordings that he left his girlfriend at the time.
Okay, Oksana, let me just give you you look like an effing pig in heat, and if you get raped by a pack of ends, it will be your fault. I am going to come and burn the effing house down.
Yeah. Well, so there you got abuse, you
Wow.
have racism, you have all kinds of things, right? The only thing I think that really saved Mel Gibson's career was, like people like Jodie Foster.
Yeah, there were several. That's right.
Who sort of vouched for his character, and contextualized this as someone who, was having some problems.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, do we need any more Mel Gibson movies? Is he helping the world any?
Well,
can we just maybe it is time to just be like, you know what?
Oh, but you can't do that. You can't. You can't stop seeing his movies because of his politics. You can't. I mean,
these aren't politics, though, John. This is hate.
Well,
this is hate.
In the general sense of what he believes about the world. You can't stop. I mean, it's the same with Woody Allen.
Here's the thing: if I thought that he really believed that, I wouldn't watch the movies. I wouldn't put $1 in the guy's pocket. Now, when it comes to somebody like Woody Allen, I have a lot of conflicted feelings about that. These are films that shaped me, that shaped my worldview. I have to believe that this, there's a part of me that can't. Well, the courts have bear this out, right? That he was not guilty. That there's something else going on there. I don't know. I'll tell you the one thing. I just wish he'd stop making movies because they're increasingly trash.
Well, if you think of Hacksaw Ridge as being violent, it's still a very well directed movie. If you think about The Passion of the Christ, which it took me 5 minutes, I was done with it because it was an hour. Right, but he made $600 million on that movie.
So what you're saying is, as long as white people continue to get rich from these films, that we have to swallow this.
I'm saying that as long as people make movies like this, and it could even have been Harvey Weinstein, make great movies, then I have
First
a
of
real
all, you're
problem.
conflating great movies with the box office. So just because a movie makes $600 million doesn't,
It's a kind of movie that's powerful, not for me, but for other people.
For Christians.
And the $600 million is a symbol of its success. And Hacksaw Ridge.
That was 30 years ago.
I got it. And Hacksaw Ridge was not 30 years ago.
And that did not make $600 million.
No, it didn't. But it put him up for, I think he was up for Best Director that year.
He was.
For Hacksaw Ridge.
Right.
So, this guy has talent. And he probably has charm because he's got people like Jodie Foster supporting.
So talent trumps hate.
I'm going to tell you that I think it has a lot to do with the personal human being who's involved. Okay. And others couldn't get away with what Mel Gibson did. He must be charming as heck. He certainly knows how to make a movie. So with that together, making money for other people, all the corrupt reasons why are why he's now scheduled to be the director of the new Wild Bunch.
Oh, God.
I know. I see that disgusts you.
Yeah.
But the point is that even after all of this, he is still scheduled to be the director of a major movie.
And I can only assume that's because he has done some kind of penance, that he has owned up to this, that we can ascribe this to drunken, diseased behavior.
That
and
too.
that we're past that, I guess.
Well, I think
All I'm saying is,
yeah.
there does need to be. There does need. I get that the the cancel culture, as it were, can be knee jerk, and it can flatten sort of our experience as um, you know receptors of art. But I do think that these people need to come to account.
Well, I agree with you to a certain point. Then I really have to look at the art of it, and this makes it very difficult for me for a Harvey Weinstein movie to actually look at it knowing what his background was, and yet he probably had some fine movies. He did. He was actually able to get the Oscar for some.
That's an interesting. This is like a whole nother show. But
Where
when the
are
guy
we?
who's like, we're way past.
Oh no! All right.
Yeah, we need to wrap up.
We need to wrap
But
up.
look, when you're talking about Harvey Weinstein, it does muddy the water a little bit, because even though he's shaping a production from a producer standpoint, putting up the money, getting all the talent together, and I know Harvey Weinstein was hands-on in a lot of ways. If you'll excuse the pun, but he is not the artist. It's not Harvey Weinstein's voice.
But he is an art of promotion beyond.
Yeah.
Well, when his Shakespeare in Love beat something fantastic, you'll remember.
Yeah, it was
For
the
the
early
Oscar.
90s. I can't remember.
It was some major piece of art that he
Yeah.
beat. Anyway, so I'm glad that we settled this.
Wow, there's no settling. That's the
I know
thing.
it is.